This is the Mackie Thump Go speaker. It's battery powered and mains powered. It's got Bluetooth, but you can also wire it up. And it just might be the only speaker, or at least a pair of these, might be the only speakers you'll ever need as a hobby DJ. To let you DJ and practice at home, to let you take them out to parties, and also take one or even both of them out with you just when you want that Bluetooth portable boombox speaker to take to the beach or whatever. So these are an intriguing speaker, and for $450 odd, 400 odd pounds, they're not going to break the bank when you're comparing them to professional monitor speakers, which of course you can't use at parties, or the best boombox speakers, which of course you can't plug into your DJ gear because they're Bluetooth and they've got horrible latency and all that. This could be the kind of 3-in-1 all-rounder that you need, with its built-in 12-hour battery, about 6 hours in real use, mains, DSPs, app, I'll show you the app and everything else. In this review then, we'll take a look at all of those things. So if you enjoy this, as ever, please do join Digital DJ Tips. You can do that at digitaldjtips.com/join. We're the world's leading DJ school, so if you're trying to improve yourself as a DJ or producer, we are the place to be. Do go do that. So this is a very compact, very light, but very professionally endowed speaker. It looks the part, right? It's got this solid grille on the front. When I turn the speaker on, it's got a nice little light at the bottom down here, which also, when the speaker isn't turned on but when it's plugged in, flashes to tell you that the battery is charging. It can be put into the kind of classic wedge form, so you could put it on the floor there, wedged up towards you, and when you do that, all the controls on the back are still visible to you. It can also be stood up like this, and it can also be put onto a professional mount. That's what that hole is at the bottom for a tripod. So it can be used in all those ways. You could have a couple of these almost as bookshelf speakers at home. The handle on the top here is very easy to pick the thing up and carry it around. Now it's got a battery built into it, which you access from the bottom of the speaker. So down here, our battery is beneath these two screws here. You need to get a screwdriver and unscrew that, and then the battery slides out. And you can even hot swap the batteries as well, so that you could have a battery charging while you've got another battery in there. The battery will always be charging in there when you're plugged into the mains electricity supply. So you leave your battery in there at all times, and if you're powering it off mains, that battery will always be charged when you unplug the speaker to take it somewhere to DJ with or whatever. So let's talk through the controls, and then I'll talk through some of the configurations, then we'll look at the app and I'll give you my conclusions about this speaker. Now, the first thing I want to talk through with you is all the knobs and buttons on it. So round the back here is where you're going to find them, and we have from the top, this is the different modes that you've got for the audio. It's a bit like an equalizer, but they've kind of done the hard work for you. They're called voicing modes. The one as a DJ you're going to want to use mainly is the one it's set on now, which is music, but you also have speech, which is designed for microphones. You have monitor and sub as well. Monitor is designed for when you have it in that kind of wedge position on the floor, and sub is designed if you've got it feeding into a subwoofer, and that will rain off some of the low frequencies of this speaker, leaving them to the subwoofer. There's also an outdoor mode, which will boost the frequencies that tend to get lost when you're DJing or playing music outdoors. There's a music ducking mode, which is like a talk over for a microphone. We'll talk about how microphones and so on plug in soon. There's a feedback eliminator for a microphone as well, and you can even choose if you want the front LED on or off there. So this is the little Bluetooth section where you can decide whether or not to pair a Bluetooth speaker or to pair the speaker to another one with Bluetooth. Not something we'd recommend you do as DJing, because you always get latency or delay between the audio from your DJ controller or mixer and what you actually hear, which is a no-no. But that is there for just general use, and you can pair two of these up if you want. Now, this back section essentially is a mixer. So this channel 1 gives you your input for an instrument or a microphone, and there's a button there that switches between line and mic input. Channel 2 is the interesting one though, because we also have a XLR, which is also a TRS or TS input there, same as this one. So you can plug in an input there, but you also have the 1/8" input here. This is an 1/8" TRS mini jack, and into there you can plug audio. You can plug your DJ mixer or whatever, or your controller. And this channel here as well, which is kind of given away by the Bluetooth buttons here, also acts as a Bluetooth input. And these inputs don't turn each other off, so you can have stuff plugged into here and it would all be controlled by this channel. So for instance, you could have your phone set up as a Bluetooth backup for your DJing, which is also plugged in here. These both have their knobs to control the volume, and here's the main volume. There's no clip on these channels to decide whether you're pushing them too hard, but there is a clip on the main channel at the top here. And this green LED here is telling you that the battery is charged, and that'll go to yellow and to red when the battery is running out. As I said, they say 12 hours. We found about 5.5, 6 hours when you're using this a decent volume on the battery, which is very good. This here is the out or the through. This is a mono output of everything that has been plugged in here is sent via this output as a mono output, and you can plug that into another speaker or into a subwoofer, or the most obvious way of plugging this speaker in or a pair of these in with a subwoofer would be to plug your controller into a subwoofer, and then from that subwoofer plug it into one or two of these. So I keep saying one or two of these. I think for a DJ looking for their speaker system that can do everything, you're just going to go and buy a couple of these, and that will give you 2 speakers for your home practice sessions. Maybe if you want to DJ at bigger parties, or certainly not big parties because these are only small speakers, but if you want to DJ regularly at parties, you might add a small portable subwoofer to that as well, which only goes out with you at parties. These will be perfect in a home studio without the subwoofer plugged in, and then that gives you the opportunity then to just take one of them when you want to go out, chuck it in the back of your van or your car or whatever, and head off down the beach or to the park. You've certainly got enough volume with just one of these, with none of that other stuff to make a lot of noise in that kind of circumstance. Right, so let's talk about what these sound like. We plugged these in and used them in the studio in place of what we actually have here. Our studio is a teaching studio. This is where we make our teaching videos. Now, generally in this studio, for that reason, because we're wearing microphones when we're teaching, one of the little secrets of making DJ training is that the volume will be very, very low in the studio. So we actually use these really tiny speakers that you can see here. So it was quite fun for us to plug in a loud speaker, literally a loudspeaker like this, and play it in here. Now, when it was set to the music setting, it sounded absolutely fantastic indoors in a room like this. Just one of them. I'd love to have had a second one to plug in as well and to test, but just one of them sounded really, really nice. So you could definitely use a pair of these at home in your practice studio as your main speakers for practicing DJing on. I even know DJs who produce on PA speakers. Eats Everything is a good example. And the reason for this is that they want it to sound like a club when they're producing. They want to get close to that club sound. So they're like, well, if my music's going to be played in a club, I want more clubby type speakers. Fair enough. So I wouldn't say that you should buy these if you're going to get into production. Most producers do want speakers which are really finely tuned for hearing absolutely everything in the music they're making. But hey, don't let me tell you not to do it either. Certainly for DJ practice, bang on. We were very impressed with them for that. Now, there's a few little technical bits and pieces I want to talk you through about these speakers, which we discovered as well. So they have got... Let's talk about the quirks, if you like, of the speakers. Now, the Bluetooth on here, we discovered it doesn't actually feed the microphones you've got plugged in. So if you Bluetooth 2 of these together, we couldn't get the microphone to go between the 2 of them. Not that you would. You'd probably put a wire between them if you had a couple of these out in the wild and you were only plugged into one of them, or you'd just plug 2 of them into your DJ controller, you know, 1 wire to each. And then you'd be using the microphone from the DJ controller rather than from the speaker. But do bear that in mind. We found that didn't work. So the app was kind of the way that we found these to be slightly more controllable, but certainly not something that you have to have. So let's take a little look at that app. I've got it here. So to start with, you click connect and it will find the speaker and hook up with it. And when it does find the speaker, you get a few bits and pieces that you can use. You've got control over both of the inputs here as well. Now, the interesting thing is, if you want to turn the inputs fully off, you've got to use these. They don't actually turn fully off on the back of the speaker, which was interesting. You can mute them from here as well, and you've got your main volume control here as well. You can change most of the stuff that I showed you on the back of the speaker from here, but you do have slightly more control as well. So in the advanced section here, we can actually customize the EQ here as well and put our own EQ in. I don't think any of this is particularly useful, to be frank with you. I think when you've got more than one of these speakers and you're wanting to link them up, then this becomes a little bit more useful because it's got certain features that you don't find on the back of the speaker. But I think that's a good thing. You know, I find these apps a little bit distracting, to be quite honest with you. I think that not having to plug in an app just to get to the features that you really want in the speaker is a good thing. So a couple of other things that I think I should tell you about. I just thought, wouldn't it be nice if the microphone inputs on these just had a little, just a little on-off button, or even something in the app just for a bit of reverb? Because mics always sound a lot better with a tiny bit of reverb on, or certainly they do sometimes when you've got someone maybe performing with you or you're a performer. Now, Mackie do make other speakers that might be better for that kind of thing, but I don't know. I just felt it was one of the little things that might be missing slightly on a speaker like this. And other little quirks, I don't think we found any, to be honest. I think it kind of all worked how it should. We're impressed with the fact that it's got feet all around it where you'd want them, so you can stand it in those various positions. We really were impressed with the lightness of it. And quite often when you're trying to find a speaker that can do more than one thing, like be your home speaker, your home practice speaker, and be the speaker that you just pick up and take out and chuck in the back of your car when you're heading out to chill out at the weekend or whatever, and to take a couple of them to a party with you because you don't want to take your home speakers to a party, you'll blow them up. You know, you do need something that can deal with that. There tends to be a compromise somewhere along the way that means you can't really say, yeah, that's the one that will work for me. But with these, I can recommend a pair of them to do all of those things, and that makes them, certainly if not unique, quite distinctive out there. Now, there are other speakers out there that are similar. There's speakers from HK Audio, JBL, off the top of my head, other small speakers that can do this kind of thing. Soundbox now have a new speaker, and we do have reviews of lots of those speakers over on Digital DJ Tips. So before you make a decision on that, why not head over to the Digital DJ Tips website and take a look at those reviews. So go to digitaldjtips.com, hit the reviews panel at the top, and then go down to accessories, and then when you're in accessories, click on speakers, and you'll see our speakers reviews, not only of this kind of speaker but also of other speakers. And there you go, immediately the Soundbox Go is there, the HK Audio Move 8, two speakers which are quite similar in what they're trying to do to what we're looking at here, and you can even see reviews of some smaller kind of Bluetooth and wide speakers as well. So lots of stuff to dig into on there if you're thinking of buying speakers that can do more than one job in your DJing. But just as it stands, this is a speaker we will happily recommend to you. Sounds great, the battery lasts decent length of time for what it does. The speaker is light, it's well made, and there's enough tweakability on the back of it. You know, you've got your Bluetooth, you've got your wired, and you've got all those different profiles for indoors and outdoors and so on, for you to be able to push it into use in pretty much any circumstance that a hobby DJ or someone who performs at small parties every now and then but also wants the one set of speakers to work for everything is going to find attractive. So the full review is written up on Digital DJ Tips. Do go and take a look at that. The link is underneath. But for now, this has been Phil Morse with the review of this Mackie Thump Go. Now get good, get out there, make the moments. I'll see you again very soon.